If you clicked on this video, then you no doubt know what content I'm referring to. If not, and you just like to be supportive of the channel, I promise after Wednesday, you will receive a reprieve from all Love is Blind related information. But for those of us who watch Love is Blind, we know that last night, Jessie Woo teamed up with Storytime with Rikki, and they did a Love is Blind live, or they did a live with the ex-girlfriend or the ex-wife of Tyler's baby mama. And in this live, we learned a lot basically about Tyler and the man that he is. And I think for any of us that put any kind of or believed in the show for like being able to find true love for people or being able to do ... or vetting the cast members, doing whatever, I think it was definitely a blow. I don't think any of us wanted this for Ashley. I don't think any of us knew that people like Tyler would even be allowed on a show like Love is Blind. To me, this is like unprecedented. It was just a blow. So these are some of my unfiltered thoughts. I edited a little bit, but I'll be happy when this season is over. If you haven't watched Rikki and Jessie Woo, then you need to watch this list of the main talking points from the video from a young woman over on Threads. There's more in the video you should watch for yourself. I also want to call out what bad timing it was for me to come out with my video, since I do share such a large portion of my audience with Jessie, because a lot of people it's just kind of the same corner of the internet. And if I had known that they were going to do that, I absolutely would have waited to give more information, but I didn't know. I'm not in the know like that. So I found out as I was uploading my video last night. I saw what they were doing, and I was like, "Oh my God, what?" So anyway, these are some of my thoughts. These are some of my thoughts. Feel free to share your thoughts below if you want to. This is just crazy. Anyway. Good morning. I needed to talk about this. First of all, I want to say you're welcome for my appearance. This is normally a look I only save or I only show Patreon. Normally when I get on YouTube, I try and put on some eye makeup, throw on a wig. I'm not bald under here. I just have my hair braided back, but y'all know I'm not bald. Anyway, normally I try and spoof myself up a little bit, get dressed, but after what I viewed last night, I didn't have time and I simply needed to respond. If you clicked on this video or you watch this channel and you are not a Love is Blind person, you don't care about that show, I want to say I apologize for your viewing experience these past few weeks. I have focused a lot on that topic, and one of the main reasons I posted my video last night was just to give some space to talk about some things that were not Love is Blind related. However, I still talked about it in the video, and in that video I said that I was really responding to the fact that Tyler, who I think is the main villain. And I think after what we saw last night, or what we found out last night, there's no question about that. Like, over the past weekend, I saw so much conversation about Hannah and the fact that she told Nick that he was stupid because he couldn't take out the garbage or boil water, and she turned him from a boy into a man, and people wanted her to face the death penalty for that. And, again, while I don't doubt her delivery sucks, the way that we so quickly forgot that there was also a cast member who had been hiding 3 children. It seemed to me like we focused a lot on verbal abuse or verbally abusive situations, and not what is something that is potentially extremely emotionally abusive, which is this man lying about who he is to this person, Tyler lying to Ashley, and concealing, and it like emotionally abusive, manipulative, like we forgot him real quick. I didn't see nearly the amount of content made about Tyler as I saw about Hannah. And I wonder, is it easier to hate women? I mean, yes, we saw it with Beyonce. So it is easier to hate women. I've gotten off track. Anyway, last night I made that video because I wanted to respond to many things that had happened over the past week, the end of last week. I wanted to talk about Liam Payne's death. I wanted to talk about Beyonce's new candle. I don't know. I wanted to talk about the whole issue with Cynthia Erivo getting mad about them altering her Wicked poster because a year ago, this time, I got to see Wicked for the first time on Broadway. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a special experience. And I knew the movie was coming out. And I knew she was going to play Elphaba. I do not like, I know a lot of people do like her ending riff, I just woke up. But if you've seen Wicked, you know what I'm talking about. I don't like that she goes, I don't like that. And maybe it's just because for the last 20 years, it's been, that's what's supposed to be. I don't like, and I love Cynthia Erivo. I don't like that. And I've listened to it several times and my brain won't compute it. But outside of that, I'm sure she's going to do amazing in the show. And they altered her appearance in the promotional material and it sent her to the moon. She was like, it degrades me. You took my face out, etc. I wanted to have a whole conversation about that. And I was not aware that she had faced so much racism with regard to appearing in Wicked. Why do we care? Elphaba's green. Why do we care what skin color you have from underneath it? That seems like people going out of their way. Like I did understand the outrage for like Little Mermaid. I did get it, even though I felt like, okay, we can let somebody else play it. Like we can do this. But I did get why people were like, wait a minute, what's going on? But Elphaba, she's green, y'all. She's officially a mystical creature. Why she can't be black? I don't get it. Especially she's a Tony Award winning actress. Like, come on. Anyway, there was, they had changed the poster to look more like the original instead of her eyes looking in it. They changed the poster and she lost her mind and she said it degrades her and why would people do this to her? And, and I really thought she was overreacting. And then I found out about the racism and how people saying they didn't want her to play the part. And I don't know. I said, I watched a video where somebody was like, it's more than just a poster, I don't know. The lady went into detail. I'll link it below. But that was something I wanted to talk about. There's just some stuff. But to be honest, I was really focused on Love is Blind. So, and I did. I talked about that. And I talked about how Tyler's baby mama came out over the weekend and shared her story. She's now verified over on Instagram. I don't know if you have to pay for that or if it's like they used to do in the old days where I think she paid for it. Or I don't know. She's now verified. Got a blue check mark next to her name. I think before what happened last night, most of us on the outside who didn't know like even more significant detail about this situation, we were supportive of her and throwing extra shade and side eye at Tyler and Ashley. I want to talk about Ashley for a quick second. I think that she is a perfect example of we don't always attract who we are. We attract what we allow. And like I said, when I first saw Tyler, I was suspicious of him. And I'll be real, it wasn't just the fact that he was Libra. It wasn't just the fact that he was a light-skinned man. And let me talk about that for a second too. Excuse me, it's early in the morning. And I'm honestly just going to post this with extremely minimal editing. So whoever sees it, I'm sorry. I'm just stunned. I'm just really stunned at this point. But anyway, Tyler, he, when I was a kid, I was growing up in a predominantly white space. And whenever I would see other Black people, they looked a lot like me. And I remember not really having an insight into what colorism was or what, I hadn't seen School Days. I was 8 years old. I hadn't seen it. I didn't see any Spike Lee joints until I got to like middle school and high school. Okay. So I didn't really understand like colorism. I didn't understand. I didn't understand good hair. I didn't understand none of that stuff. I'm me. You know, in my mind, I look like my mom. My dad loves my mom and thinks she walks on water, so I must be the most beautiful thing in the world. That's how I thought. And people who look like me were beautiful. That's how I thought about it. We're all the same. We all black. Like, that's how I looked at it. And it wasn't until I got to middle school that I started to see, no, baby, there's a difference. And it started by noticing how people responded to people who had different longer hair. It started, and when I say people, I mean the other black children, because elementary school, I was the only black person in my class literally every year except for one, third grade. And that little boy, he looked similar to me, if not even just a little bit darker. Well, I got to middle school and I really saw the difference in the reception. And I remember, I'll never forget when we got our first light-skinned boy with waves in his hair and etc. And the way that the girlies acted. I'll never forget it. The way that I acted. Let me stop. And it was just like, it was something, he was different. Now, I didn't understand the class implications of that in other contexts. I'm not going to say that necessarily in middle school. I didn't understand, like, I didn't know. I was a child, but I knew something's different. And so that being said, whenever I see a man and he has traits, you know, I'm like, what are you doing? And I've brought this up before. I've said it multiple times, but I just was always suspicious of Tyler. And just to bring it back to Ashley, I will say that when somebody is also aware of who they can attract and how and in the numbers that they can do as a person, when they're aware of the sheer volume that they can bring in, unless that person is extremely disciplined, they can rot. They can become rotten. And to me, Tyler is a rotten, rotten apple. And I always suspect any man who looks like that, I know what he's capable of. I know what he's capable of attracting. I know what he's capable of doing. And then, of course, I found out he was a Libra, and I was like, he out here. So take it back to Ashley. You know, we can't blame her for being physically attracted. We know he's a smooth operator. He knows how to talk. But that's still very superficial, right? Once you get to the core of who somebody is outside of that, that's when I think you really find out, like, oh, I can't deal with you. And a lot of times, I want to say that's been my experience out in the world, dating, doing whatever. You see that superficial, and for me, it's not even always about how they look. Sometimes it's just, oh, he makes me laugh. He does this, he does that. And then you get down to who they are, their character. And I can't deal with this. But sometimes at that point, it's too late. Anyway, I've been watching Ashley's social media, and I've been watching how she stands up for this man. And I've been watching how she refuses to implicate him or to talk negatively about him. I'm about to give a spoiler here. Ashley and Tyler do get married. That's someone who has seen the finale has said so, unless they let her watch it, or unless she watched it, or her connect or whatever lied to her, so because they know she talks on social media, and of course I'm talking about Storytime with Rikki. But someone who has seen it has said Tyler gets married, and Tyler and Ashley do get married. And to me, that is just so hurtful, because you can tell Ashley really wanted to step into this influencer bag. Okay, she's gorgeous. I think she might be the most beautiful Love is Blind contestant that we've ever had. And you know I love AD. I love AD. But Ashley might be the most beautiful one we've ever had. She is gorgeous. When I say I could have seen her doing, and I don't want to speak on her future. I don't know what will happen. But I do know that being associated with Tyler in any way does nothing but taint her image and taint her goals. I do think she's displaying a little bit of willful combativeness, but in like a cute way. And I say that because whenever we heard from Bree, Tyler's ex, and we heard as I say ex, because apparently they were really involved. We heard from Bree in her story about who Tyler was and what he'd been doing and the kids and everything. And then Ashley want to pop up with a makeup tutorial. I can't imagine what her DMs must look like. I can't imagine the comments that she's deleting, the people that she has to block. I mean, this man really put her in harm's way. In harm's way. And I'm not saying she did anything to deserve this. Ashley didn't do anything to deserve Tyler, but she allowed him. We are not always what we attract down to a T. We are what we allow. People are attracted to us for various reasons. And I think Tyler saw a come up in Ashley. If we are to believe what was revealed to us last night in that live, Tyler is, and I don't mean to insult anybody, I'm just saying it in the colloquial term, Tyler is trailer park trash. Tyler is trailer park trash who comes from a broken home with a mother who was struggling. He saw that his looks and his charm were a way of climbing up through the social ladder on the backs of women who would fall in love with him. He tried playing house with a woman who, according to her ex-wife, was confused about her sexuality. And he saw in Ashley a come up. Men secretly want someone who is better than them. If they see that you're better than them, that is something they are attracted to. I've also heard the main things that motivate men are sex and competition. And so if you in some way can offer that to them, in some way, meaning they can have sex with you, and by being with you, they can feel that they've won, then they'll be attracted to you. They want to be with you. And I think that's what he did with Ashley. I feel sorry for her. And I hate that feeling of pity, but that's part of audience response. I've noticed with me, when I tell my personal stories, one of the reasons why I like to shut up and not talk sometimes is because I hate when people feel pity for me. So I hate saying I feel sorry for someone because I know how icky it can be, but I feel sorry for her, extensively sorry. I feel like she was duped and bamboozled by the show. I feel like she was duped and bamboozled by a man who knew what he was capable of and what he had done. I feel sorry for her because she seems like she has a lot of principle as an individual, which is probably why she's also like, nope, I'm not responding. I'm not listening. That's my Smeagol voice. Samantha just looked at me like, girl. But I feel sorry for her because I feel like she is a person of principle, and she did take the whole marriage experiment very seriously. Like, she came on the show, she wanted to get married, and I don't hold her for that. I understand. That's an important thing for a lot of people, especially people around that age group, 29, 30 years old. I'm still at my colossal age of 40, single. And so I'm like, oh, this is when for me personally, this is when I would worry about it. And I am. But I see so many people, and I thought, honestly, as a society, we had broadened our minds a little bit, but I see so many people consistently making content and saying, oh my God, I'm 30 and I'm that age right around there there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. So I understand her like willfulness. When her father described her as a ride or die, what he was really saying is once she digs her heels into something, she doesn't walk away. So, and I don't think that that's always a positive characteristic. I think you have to be able to detract or whatever. After learning what I learned last night, I feel like Netflix needs to BFFR when it comes to social media. One of the big lessons I learned whenever I started off online, I wouldn't say whenever I started off, I would say about 2 years in, was that once you put your face and your likeness out there, you almost immediately a file is opened on you and people try and find out anything they can about who you are. It is even more increased. The likelihood of that is even more increased if you enter their lives under precarious terms, context, etc. So let's say you enter their lives because you're telling crazy stories about your own life. Oh, they're digging deep. They're trying to figure out, they're fact checking. Who knows this person? Is she telling the truth? I know, I've seen it. I've seen the stuff about me. It's out, I know. She must be lying. It happens for every single person that puts themselves out there. Whenever people are like, girl, just get out there. Don't be afraid. You have to know the beast you're battling with. And the way social media operates these days, the way people do their digging, that is a formidable opponent, and I need Netflix to be ready. Warn these people whenever they come in for casting. You're not just on a reality show. You are under trial by jury by social media. They're going to dig up everything they can. Everything. At this point, we haven't heard anything about Taylor and Garrett. We haven't heard anything negative about Marissa. They found Ramsey's ex-wife, but she ain't saying nothing. And I think it's because she actually likes him as a person. So she's like, I'm not, but they've probably reached out to her. People have probably sent her DMs, whatever her name is. If you don't know that Reddit exists, Lipstick Alley exists, other websites exist, like, you really thought you were going to get on a reality show and people weren't going to find out who you were when they have all that mess to work with? When they have that big juicy file to work with? At a certain point in my mind, if you've lived a wild enough life, you X yourself out from being able to participate in certain opportunities. And I think we talked about this last season. I know there was a young woman who, I think it was the Houston season actually, which was 2 seasons ago. But there was a young woman over on TikTok, and she's a Nigerian woman, and she's originally from Texas. And she was like, if you know anything about Houston, you know it has a huge Nigerian population. And she was like, I know a lot of men who were approached by that show, but their personal lives are too messy, so they said no. Really quickly, before I wrap this up, I'm going to specifically respond to some things that I saw in the video or in the live. And I want to also say that, my God, it was bad timing. I wish that I had waited until today, to post my video, but I really just wanted to post something that wasn't all about Love is Blind. I want to talk about for a second the concept that Tyler is a dirty dog who runs around doing threesomes. I don't want to demonize threesomes. Okay. I don't want to. If you want to have them, have them. If you want to do, I don't like looking at sex in a really like solid binary. I'm not the person who's going to be, that's just not me. The fact that he was having them while he was engaged to another woman, that young woman that we found out about weeks ago, who he was engaged to back like 11 years ago. And I think it's interesting that every time he gets engaged, his life, the secrets of his life, who he really is, come back to haunt him. I think that's interesting. That's some synchronicity right there. I want to talk about the fact that his baby mama was apparently abusive to her ex-wife, and apparently she built a relationship with her ex-wife's kid, and she ain't seen that child. And I think with that, it might be a little different, but not really. If you were in the child's life, like, you could reach out. But I think it might be a little different with her not reaching out versus Tyler not reaching out. He's the biological father of those children. I turned out to be right. If we are to believe what the ex-wife said in that live, I turned out to be right. That first child was also conceived naturally. And this is stuff we heard from Storytime with Rikki weeks ago. But to have it solidified like that. And listen, there's always two sides to every story, your side, my side, and the truth. But I think it was very brazen for Bree to get up on the internet and be like, this is my truth, I'm putting my story out. Girl, you're missing some details. You're missing some details. I just wanted to talk about this. I know I have. If you have not seen the live, please go watch it. It is long. I want to say this really quickly. I'm so proud of the growth. I think I started noticing Jessie Woo's YouTube channel about 2 years ago. And I remember she was at like 95 subscribers, 95,000 or like 90,000 subscribers like 2 years ago. And I remember her channel on YouTube. She's been on the internet forever, but I remember her channel on YouTube specifically blowing up because of her Love is Blind videos. And this is before I even watched it. I didn't really know nothing about the show. People were like, are you going to watch it? Oh, she's so funny. I was like, I don't even know what the show is. So I started looking at the show. I started looking at her reviews, and I just watched that channel blow up. And to see now that she's doing like Hulu sponsored podcasts. I mean, she's always been a bona fide media figure, but I really appreciate the way that her talking about the show and her talking about the show and building a community around the show is has propelled her career forward. I think it's a good thing to see. It's really powerful. I love that she teamed up with Storytime with Rikki. I was wondering when that was going to happen because that woman she leads it over on TikTok if you're not on TikTok. And I really wish Netflix would get it together and offer one or both of them a contract. Let them do casting. Because Jessie would have been on the internet a long time. She knows where the bodies are buried. Metaphorically, of course. As far as she knows where to look. Okay? She knows what stones to unturn. Nobody with a Tyler story is getting through if she was in charge, right? Or if she casts him, she knows she's casting for drama. But I don't think Jessie Woo, for the respect that she has like for Black women, I don't think if she was like responsible that she would even let a Tyler in to possibly hurt a woman. I think women in general who set women up to be hurt on shows like this, there's like a special place in hell. I started this season off by talking about how I watched the documentary or the show Unreal before I watched this season. So I'm very aware like people are being produced. We're getting the edits. They're picking people for a reason. I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix actually knew all of this about Tyler. I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix knew all of this about his exes. I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just sorry that Ashley was who they sacrificed for ratings. If you watched, please feel free to share your impressions and opinions below. My dogs are fighting, and I'm just gonna post this video. And I will watch the weddings tomorrow, but why? Actually, no. There is something else. I don't know if they talked about it last night. I have to go and look. That's my cue. I gotta go. Have a good day.